Urging South African designers will march on the streets of Sandton today. Their fight is against illicit trade, which they say hampers growth and job creation. Our business reporter, Ntokozo Khumalo, joins us now for an update on the story. Ntokozo, good afternoon to you. Why is the cost of illicit trade becoming so arduous for the industry? And just to point out, I mean, it's incredibly disheartening for South African designers to put that amount of thought and work into the products they put out there, only for it to arrive on other shelves much cheaper.
Absolutely, Michelle, and we are going to hear from the industry once the march has taken place, when they deliver their memorandum on what exactly the issues are when it comes to especially those cheap imports. But it's a balancing act, Michelle, when you consider the cash-strapped South Africans wanting to push the buy local campaign. But to talk us through that, I am joined by the Chief Marketing Officer of Proudly South African, Khumalo. Ngiti, thank you so much once again for talking to us. Now the action is starting behind us, and I'm seeing some of my favorite designers as well in this action. And we spoke about it a little bit earlier, that this really will be a key theme this year on how to tackle illicit trade. Talk us through the impact on that buy local campaign. Those cheap imports, how much of a damage are they for the industry?
So, amongst everything that we've put together for this year's Summit and Expo, the discussions that we're having around the economy, around everything that affects, businesses, local businesses in South Africa, we thought it was seeing what's going on social media with illicit trading, which ultimately kills our businesses in South Africa. It steals our jobs in South Africa. Illicit trading is the reason why our factories around the country are closed. And so we thought, over and above everything else to do with the annual Summit and Expo, let's put in a discussion, a panel discussion that looks into the clothing, textile, footwear, leather industry, which is a labor-intensive industry, which is an industry that is important for our economy. And we've just had an incredible discussions. In fact, in my view, I think an hour was just not enough. We need to have these discussions. We need to have the right policy makers in the room. We need to hold people accountable, because this economy is not going to sort itself out. But we thought the panel discussion is not enough. We need to be out there. We need to be seen by consumers, by the media as a collective. We've got legendary designers with us in our midst, and those that are coming into the industry. The support is amazing, and the plan is to have a peaceful march and collectively and make our voices to be heard. We are also we're supported by Brand South Africa and Tourism South Africa as Proudly SA, to really just hold hands and say we have a responsibility to do something for the clothing industry and many other industries, because it's a combination of various industries, but spearheaded by our designers.
Absolutely. And talking about those legendary designers, we do have one here from Sandton. Thank you so much for talking to us. And I can see you eyeing your colleagues there to join in. But as Happy just explained, the cost of illicit trade, how does that affect your business as a local designer still looking to grow another 30 years in the industry?
Hi, thank you for the opportunity to discuss these matters. As you have correctly pointed out, it is quite a huge problem for us as South African creatives, the fact that we do not always have the resources to tackle the illicit trading. And it's impacting jobs locally. There are so many fabric mills that have closed as a result of this, and the fact that there's not enough that we are producing locally. So we need that collaboration between the creative industry as well as big business to say, how do we tackle this? And also, most importantly, we also need the policymakers and the lawmakers to rally behind it, because it's one thing for us to fight as individuals, but this is a problem that's impacting everybody else. So we can't make it an individual fight, because like I say, it's also a problem of resources. Not one design house or two can tackle it. We need to do it as a collective. So it is a problem, and we are hoping that today is just the beginning of raising that awareness and also working towards the necessary solutions.
Fanya, thank you so much. Let me not hold you up, but thank you so much for talking to us. Michelle, you heard there from an industry player that has been in the industry really for the last 3 decades, looking to continue to grow the business. And we saw the march kicking off with really workers in the industry being the ones to kick off this march, as the industry's players and the designers were actually in that panel discussion unpacking the challenges that is brought on by illicit trade, but also some of the cheap imports that do come into the country, as we saw on those boards, some of them highlighting the impact of Temu and Shein on their businesses and operations. So this really being seemingly a united march by both those working in those factories and the designers, bringing out those new designs that they're hoping to not only be for local consumers here in South Africa, but to be able to actually export to markets outside of the country. So once the march is done, Michelle, they are going to present their memorandum on what needs to really take place to see illicit trade not cost local producers so much, Michelle.
And not impact the issue of unemployment even further in South Africa. Ntokozo Khumalo, live to us there in Sandton. Thanks very much indeed.